All right, folks, we're talking about digital wallets, piggy banks, the whole thing. We have the generational span here. When I first heard Gary tell me about this book, I said, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." Gary, why don't we start with the why? Why are we talking about this, and why did you write this book with your grandson?
Well, I think that's a good question to start with. And the why is really it was the opportunity to learn and work with Ashton. That was the primary opportunity. I think the second motivating fact was as I talked with many people my age, they really didn't know what the blockchain was, nor
Yes.
did nor did they really understand crypto. And I
Mm,
said, there's a lot of technical books out there, most of which um, the typical person doesn't want to get into the weeds like that.
that's right.
So we kind of outlined this, and with your help, we put it together, and hopefully it will answer some of their questions.
Oh, I think this is so cool. So, Ashton, what did you say when your grandfather said to you, "Hey, I think I got a project"?
So we always love to talk about crypto technology and stuff. And I think it was just one night we were talking about this stuff again, like we always do. And he throws out this crazy idea to me. He's like, I think we should write a book about all of this. And I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
for sure. You should write a book. This would be awesome. And he's like, well, the twist is I want you to be a part of writing this with me. And so this was such a neat experience for me. I mean, I have learned so much. And to be able to do this with my grandpa and kind of get both sides, two different generations, has been something really unique. And I think not a lot of other books can do something like that.
No, not at all. I mean, I think this listen, I'm gonna encourage people who are watching and will watch the replay, tag a friend, tag somebody, because you're not gonna see any book on the market that has the well, listen, I'm just gonna ask for your ages. Let's just get it out there. Gary, are you willing to share your age?
I'm willing to share it.
What do
I'm
you got?
79.
79. Ashton?
21.
79 to 21. That is awesome. So my son loves crypto. He wants to talk about it all the time. He thinks that there's going to be, a Bitcoin standard. And let's talk about this. So it says how to make sense of cryptocurrencies and simplify emerging technologies to grow and transfer wealth. So that's really what this is about. It's about creating generational wealth with new technologies. Gary, what do you think?
Yes, absolutely. And this has been a journey for me, and I think a lot of people will relate to this. Is that when you first hear about crypto or you read in the media, you're skeptical.
Mm,
So I would say that anyone that has spent less than 10 hours thinking about crypto, reading about crypto, watching podcasts is probably pretty skeptical.
mm,
And I started my journey back in, I think it was 2016. And I finally made a small investment in 2017. And my objective was to learn about the blockchain. It
mm.
wasn't so much crypto, but I thought the blockchain would have an impact on accounting. And of course, I'm a CPA and my background has been in accounting. Our clients are the largest accounting firms in the US.
Wow.
And so I thought it would have a real impact on our firm, our clients, and myself. And that certainly has played out. But I also found that it wasn't for the rugged individualist. As I got started, I really had to go on my own. I did find a few other people in our profession who were willing to talk. But the more I talked to the younger generation, the more they related to this. And so it's been kind of bridging the gap between among the generations. We got Ashton and I here, but I, we've got his dad and his dad's brother and sister. They've all learned from this too. And you see some of the motivation here are the grandkids. That's Jeff's family.
Oh, yeah.
That's all the grandkids out at the lake. So it's been a great experience, and I certainly have learned a lot from Ashton and learned a lot from others that are interested in the blockchain and in crypto.
Wow. So, Ashton, I got to feel like this is going to help your career. I mean, to say you're a published author at the age of 21 on cryptocurrencies, digital wallets, to be majoring in finance. I mean, I feel like it's got to be a big confidence booster for you.
Of course. If you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would have ever thought I'd be a published author, I would have probably told you no.
Yeah.
But to have this experience and all that I've learned from it, and to be able to say I am an author in a book that I think is really going to help a lot of people and make sense to a lot of people, is a really neat experience.
Mm. So, have you held one yet? Have you held a copy? Yeah.
Yep.
That's I love the colors. I love the cover. So is the Bitcoin kind of busting up the piggy bank a little bit there, Gary? What do you think?
Well, it certainly has from when I got started. The Bitcoin is certainly much more valuable today than it was back in 2016. And I think all of us that have invested, wish we would have gotten in earlier.
Sure.
But it's one of those things. I think we're still early in the game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of positive things happening at governmental levels throughout the world today, not just in the US, that digital currency makes sense for the world.
Right.
We've gone from currencies that were salt to beads to, most people realize gold, as a store of value. But things change. And one of the things Ashton and I discussed in the book is how they pay each other today and how I paid my bills when I was in college. It was certainly different. When I was in college, we didn't get a credit card until later in my college years because all the banks thought they couldn't make any money on it. And now that's how they've made a lot of money.
That's right.
Over the years. And Ashton, you might talk a little bit about how you pay your bills today.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a digital world. All these bills that we're paying, all digitalized. But there's so many ways. I mean, Venmo, Cash App, we have all these apps. The way that currency is moving around us has changed just so much in the last 5 years. And so it's not crazy to think that this change is just going to keep accelerating. And that's where I think we see a lot of these digital assets, cryptocurrencies really start to come into play.
Well, Gary, you were an early adopter in 2016, 2017. I'm curious, was it the Abundance Conference with Peter Diamandis that gave each attendee a Bitcoin? Was it that, or that wasn't your first?
That wasn't the one. If I was, and I attended several of the early ones, but I think I got in about year 6, and he's year 13 or 15 now. I can't remember. But I don't remember receiving any Bitcoin. So like others, if I did, I probably lost it.
Yeah.
So I've heard stories about that.
Oh,
but Peter was certainly inspirational. But even guys like Tika Tawari and podcasts that I would run across. And then I had some friends at the AICPA who were into technology. Doug Sleater was one, Greg LaFollette, others that they thought this was going to have a big impact. We all thought it would probably happen sooner rather than later.
Sure.
And it's taken a while, but there were some people that were real leaders there. There were also the opposition that I would say hadn't spent the 10 hours so that they became someone that was inspired to learn more.
Yeah.
We've heard all the obstacles about electricity and how it takes a lot of power. But when you dig deeper, the electricity issue is being solved by burning off methane, from local recycling plant, or I guess you call them landfills today, and burning off natural gas that's just being burned. There's a lot of ways to create energy, and I don't think those obstacles are really obstacles today when
Yeah.
you sit down and look at the big picture.
Well, I think the amount of 79-year-olds or the amount of 21-year-olds who really understand blockchain and crypto, I would say are very rare. So I started getting into it in around 2021. And Gary, kind of what fascinated me was the blockchain component of it because, my son loves the income part of it. He's the finance major. That's what he gets excited about. I was trying to find a practical use case, and of course, you were an early adopter of instant IP, which is all based on blockchain and timestamping and how IP is protected with blockchain. But I do agree that blockchain, we're only beginning to understand it, whether it's authenticating the supply chain, that our original coffees and chocolates and art now has a history tied to it. I believe the name is provenance, where we can find out where it originated. But Ashton, what do you think you learned the most from this process? Was it the technology, the book writing process? What are you going to walk away with as a 21-year-old from this book?
I think for me, really, it was the technology, the blockchain, and just how fast all of this around us is changing.
Mm.
Whether we like it or not, the world around us is changing, and it's changing very fast. And so the people that are able to embrace these changes, and maybe that's just learning, like it's the desire to learn that I think is going to be really important for people here in the future. So just being able to do that myself and really take a deep dive into this technology, blockchain, and all these uses that blockchain has. And we're discovering more and more every single day. I mean, there's not an industry, I don't think, blockchain can touch and impact. So just having that desire to learn more is going to be really important for people, and that this change is coming, and the sooner people embrace it, I think the better off they'll be.
I love that. Gary, what did you think when, whether people like Trump or don't like him, but the fact that he's identified crypto, kind of wants to be known as the crypto president, the fact that he's not running away from it, it seems like he's actually seeing it as opportunity. And I would say states that see it as opportunity, they're benefiting. When I went to Miami back in 2021, I was shocked to see how crypto was being adopted because of their mayor in very different ways than Ohio. But you know what's funny, Gary? When I was still kind of like, I don't know if this crypto thing's going to work, I don't really know, I went to a ice cream stand in Michigan, Muskegon. We're talking Muskegon, Michigan. And I go to the ice cream stand and it said payments accepted. And crypto was accepted for ice cream. What do you think about all this, Gary? Trump, crypto, ice cream, the whole thing. What do you think?
Well, we'll soon be talking in Satoshis, which is 1/1,000,000th of a BTC. So I think it's real, and I think it's good. And what we've seen the last few weeks of people being able to go into these various agencies and look at misappropriations.
Ooh,
I know that's
yeah.
I know that's two-sided, but I'm going to come at that from an audit perspective, how this will improve. And just like crypto's real-time transfer, we'll be able to real-time audit and manage these transactions in the future. And I think as a profession, we've probably even been somewhat remiss and resistant to change, because most audits occurred once a year. A lot of it was based on internal control. And with AI, along with crypto, the quality of the audits and the timing of the financial information and being able to make decisions on that information on a daily basis. Think of dashboards on your car or in an airplane. Having real-time information is so much more valuable than having to extrapolate and kind of predict the future. So we're going to be better at that, I think. So I don't think this is going to stop at the federal level. I don't think it's going to be just in the US. It's
Mm,
going to be global. And I think for humanity, it's the best thing. But
mm.
there's going to be some bumps in the road as we work through this because it's impacting all of us.
Yeah, I've heard it's almost like some of us are old enough to remember the internet with what's called dial-up, where it was a disruptive technology. For us to be on the internet, we had to essentially take over our phone line, and it was slow and clunky. And that's really the early days of crypto, where it's felt like you need a digital wallet, and that's been a hurdle for some people. But I know your book breaks it down into really understandable. I think the word is accessible. You even have this guy Matthew, who I don't know. Thanks for joining, Matthew. But again, we got this on all different channels. 15 people are watching it currently on one channel, but we have this thing on probably 5, 6 other channels where lots of people are watching. But Matthew's on YouTube, and he says, I seriously need to learn. He has a nonprofit ran by a disabled team helping inmates from isolation, and we're interested in this. So, you got people. It's just we live in a wild world where we don't even know who Matthew is, but he's helping people where he's at. And Ashton, blockchain is called a trustless technology. The first time I heard that word, I thought, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can't trust it? It's actually the fact that you don't need to have trust to be able to use it. It's just trust built in automatically. But what are some other things that people might be surprised about with blockchain or crypto that you think is pretty cool?
Yeah, like you said, Kary, the trust and the ineditable ability of the
Mm.
blockchain, that there these bad actors, people kind of have this notion that crypto, bad actors, this is kind of a shady thing, but really it's the safest form of currency and transfer of wealth from people that we've ever seen. The blockchain can't be edited and it has to be verified by all the nodes. So really, we've never even seen a technology like this where it is impossible to change the blockchain. So if this technology can be used in so many different aspects to verify, authenticate, go back, look at things, audit, like Gary
Yeah.
was talking about. So really, the uses are endless for blockchain. So I'm so excited to see what new stuff we have here with blockchain in just the next couple of years.
Gary, I've heard this cool example that think about if we would have said 20 years ago, you're going to be able to hop into a stranger's car and they're going to drive you safely to a house that is not yours, and you're going to sleep in somebody else's bed, and everything's going to be fine and you're going to be safe. Of course, I'm talking about Uber and Airbnb, but again, 20 years ago, people would be like, what is he even talking about? Sleeping in somebody else's bed, driving in somebody else's car. But the reason we've adopted Uber and Airbnb is because of the trust built in. I trust that the person who's picking me up has been vetted by Uber. I trust that the house I'm staying in isn't going to have mold, or it's been vetted. It's really a trustless technology. And now you apply it to money. Why do you think, Gary, that digital wallets are superior to piggy banks?
Well, piggy bank's pretty easy to steal.
Ooh,
While a digital wallet, you can steal the digital wallet, but you still have the uh, seed phrase and the words stored so you can recover your funds from those seed phrases. And I just think to even simplify this further for people my age,
yeah.
the big impact they're going to have is on identity.
Mm,
They're going to be able to prove their identity, other identity. And I've been around enough people my age to see passwords on the back of a notebook or even on their monitor.
Mm.
And Bitcoin is going to, or not Bitcoin, but the blockchain and AI are going to be able to reduce the burden of all those passwords in the future. It's already coming about today. So when you go to the motor vehicle department, you're going to have your identity and all of that protected.
That's right. I believe it. I mean, I think in digital wallets, it's already happening, but soon you're going to have your medical data. Certainly,
Yes.
certainly when Ashton graduates, a piece of paper that I'm looking at my wife's office here, and she's got pieces of paper that are, quote, diplomas. How do I know that's real? How do I know that that's a real diploma? I mean, you can fake anything, but you can't fake a digital diploma that's been issued from a certain wallet that is Harvard or whatever place they went to. So I do think you're right. In this world of fake news, deep fakes, how can we verify that what we're hearing or reading is actually true? Blockchain and digital wallets can definitely prove that. So I'm going to ask you each this question as we land the plane today. I'll start with Gary, and then we'll go to Ashton. Gary, what do you hope happens? Let's say we're chatting in a year, and I say, you know what, that Piggy Banks to digital wallets, man, how's it going? And you say, listen, Kary, it's going so well. What are you going to tell me?
Well, I would tell you, I just hope it inspires people of all ages to start their journey. If we can get them started on the journey, I think the journey is compelling enough that the gravity will pull them forward. Whereas right now, the gravity of the past and the comfort of the past keeps us from going out there and looking into the future. This isn't an investment book. I'm not a registered investment advisor, even though I'm a CPA. I've got some credentials, but that's not the important part here. The important part is to get you to be a lifelong learner. And I don't care what age you are, you're capable of learning this. So get in a group, get with your family to start with, and start having these conversations.
It could literally shift your wealth for generations to come. It really could. So let's go to you, Ashton. What do you hope happens if we're chatting in a year? What does success look like? What are you thinking?
I'd like to echo a lot of the things that Gary said, but I think that I want people to not be afraid of these changes and be able to embrace the changes that are coming. This conversation and this book, this journey that I've been on with my grandpa, I think this is a story that a lot of other people can have. And I hope this book allows people to have these conversations with family members, with friends, and really inspire them to go down this path of learning. And like Gary said, I really think most people, they start to dip their toes in the water. They'll have the motivation themselves. I mean, it's so interesting. But I think we're going to change a lot of people's lives and start a lot of really good conversations for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think if you don't know about a topic, you can really be scared of it. But that's what I see as the strength of this book. It's really to demystify and make accessible these lofty concepts that people think, oh, I seed phrase, what is he even talking about? But I get it. All it means is a code, code words that essentially unlock your digital wallet. And there's pros and cons. I mean, the pro is that nobody can get between you and your money. The con is that nobody can get between you and your money. Meaning, if you lose your seed phrase, you can't call up 1-800-wallet and find your money back. Like, you're responsible for it. So I really feel like there's a philosophy behind this too, that is returning responsibility to the people, and therefore benefits. Because let's face it, the banks have benefited because they've been the ones that have been responsible, but it's almost bringing wealth back to the common person. What do you think?
Well, I think that's true, but I think we need both. I don't think it's an either or situation.
That's good.
Yeah, I think we need the financial institutions to participate in this, but their world is going to change considerably as
Yeah.
we go forward. Their services are going to change. They're not going to need all these buildings that they have, or even ATMs. You
Yeah.
know, they're cutting down on the number of ATMs. Now, here's my challenge for you, Kary.
Okay.
You know, Ashton's the first of 9 grandkids. What are we going to do for the next 8? And what topics are we going to come up? That's going to make me and you have to learn. We're going to have to learn a lot here from
Well,
the younger ones.
I think that's the story behind the story. I think the story is the banks, the digital wallets, but I think the another story is how generations are partnering together to create value. I mean, that is a book right there that I think is really powerful. So Ashton, Gary, thank you so much. I know that Boomer has done super good things in the CPA world. Google it. And Gary, you are one of the youngest thinkers I know. And Ashton, you have a maturity beyond your age. So
Well, thank you, Kary, for all your help.
Oh, thanks for being here, guys. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see ya.
Thanks, Kary.